A paralyzed dog was about to be put down, but his cat friend stopped the vets. What happens next is unbelievable. Here is the beginning of the English translation, with Americanized names and locations. Hope Haven Animal Shelter had never seemed so quiet as on that autumn afternoon. The heavy clouds in the sky promised another stormy night, while Lucy observed through the window of her makeshift office. The bills scattered across her desk told a story she didn't want to accept. The shelter was on the brink of financial collapse. Her thoughts were interrupted by Mary, the head veterinarian, who hurriedly entered the room. "Lucy, we need to talk about Max," she said, her voice carrying a concern that had already become familiar in recent weeks. Max was a golden retriever who had arrived at the shelter almost a year ago. Before the accident, he was known for his contagious energy and the way he could bring smiles to even the most serious volunteers. Now, however, his situation was completely different. An accident during a walk had left his hind legs paralyzed, and since then, the dog that once overflowed with joy had become a shadow of his former self. "The treatment costs are increasing, Mary," Lucy replied, running her hands through her graying hair. "And the results?" She couldn't finish the sentence. The results were practically non-existent. Max had closed himself off, refusing food and ignoring any attempts at contact. Isabel, the shelter's longest-serving caretaker, joined them, bringing the daily report. "He barely touched his food again today," she informed, her voice trembling slightly. "I even tried that special food Mrs. Carmen donated, but—" She shook her head, discouraged. The three women looked at each other, sharing a heavy silence of concern. The shelter had been operating in the red for months, relying on increasingly scarce donations and the tireless work of volunteers. Max's treatment, with his special needs and frequent consultations, was becoming an impossible burden to sustain. "Maybe," Mary began hesitantly, "maybe we need to consider other options." The words hung in the air like a dark cloud, carrying a meaning that none of them wanted to face. Lucy stood up abruptly, unable to continue that conversation. "I'm going to see how he's doing," she said, heading to the kennel area. The path to Max's space was familiar. Last enclosure on the right, the largest they had managed to adapt for his special needs. The golden retriever was lying on his orthopedic mattress, his eyes fixed on an undefined point. His golden coat, once shiny and well-groomed, was now dull and lifeless. Upon seeing Lucy, he didn't even move his ears, as he used to do before the accident. "Hey, buddy," she whispered, crouching down beside him. "How are you feeling today?" There was no response, not even a glance in her direction. It was as if Max had built an invisible wall between himself and the world, and no one could find a way to break through it. The first raindrops began to fall, hitting the shelter's roof with a gentle rhythm. Lucy remained there, sitting next to Max, observing the transformation of the sky as the storm approached. In her mind, thousands of thoughts mingled. Bills to pay, other animals that needed care, the possibility of having to make a decision that would break her heart. The storm began to fall harder, and the other dogs in the shelter started barking, restless with the noise. Max, however, remained motionless, as if nothing else in the world could reach him in his own universe of sadness. It was at that moment that something unexpected happened. A different sound mixed with the noise of the rain. Desperate knocks on the shelter's main door. Lucy got up quickly, casting one last worried look at Max before running to see who could be arriving at that hour, in the midst of the storm. The knocking on the door continued insistently when Lucy reached the entrance hall, closely followed by Mary and Isabel. As they opened the door, they came face to face with Peter, one of the shelter's youngest volunteers, completely soaked and holding a cardboard box that was already starting to fall apart in the rain. "I found on the sidewalk," he gasped, trying to protect himself from the water coming in with the wind. "Someone left. Couldn't leave it out there with this storm." Isabel quickly took the box from the young man's trembling hands, while Mary ran to get towels. Inside the box, huddled and shaking, was a small black and white cat. Her green eyes shone with surprising intensity, despite the evident fear in her posture. "Poor thing," murmured Isabel, wrapping the animal in a dry towel. She must be terrified. But to everyone's surprise, the cat showed no signs of panic. On the contrary, as soon as she was removed from the box, she began to observe the environment with an almost calculated curiosity. "I've never seen a cat react like this when arriving here," commented Mary. who had already returned with more towels. They're usually terrified in the first few hours. Lucy examined the newcomer with professional attention. The cat seemed healthy, although a bit thin. Her fur, though wet, showed signs of previous care. She must have had a family at some point, she concluded. But she has no collar or chip. While they discussed what to do with the new guest, the cat managed to gently disentangle herself from Isabel's arms. With deliberate steps, she began to explore the environment, her fluid and graceful movements contrasting with the confusion around her. "We need to give her a name," suggested Peter, who had already dried off and was observing the cat with fascination. "How about Luna? Because of that white patch on her chest, it looks like a crescent moon." The cat, as if approving the name, turned towards the young man and let out a soft meow. "I think she liked it," laughed Isabel, seeing the animal's reaction. "Luna it is, then." Mary began to prepare a file for the new resident, but her attention was captured by Luna's unusual behavior. The cat had stopped near the corridor that led to the kennels, her ears attentive to something that the humans couldn't perceive. "We'd better take her to the cat area," said Lucy, moving to pick up Luna. However, before she could reach her, the cat had already started walking decisively towards the kennels. "Wait," called Isabel, worried. "We can't let her go there, the dogs might scare her." But Luna seemed to have her own plans. With surprising determination, she followed the corridor, ignoring the barks and growls coming from the enclosures. Her destination seemed clear, the last enclosure on the right. The three women and Peter followed the cat, a mixture of concern and curiosity on their faces. When they reached Max's enclosure, they were paralyzed by the scene they found. Luna was sitting at the entrance of Max's space, observing the golden retriever with an almost hypnotic intensity. The most surprising thing, however, was Max's reaction. For the first time in weeks, he had raised his head, his eyes focused on the small visitor that had appeared in his territory. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of rain on the roof. No one dared to move, fearing to break that inexplicable moment. Luna, however, didn't seem to share this hesitation. With soft and deliberate steps, she began to approach Max. "No," whispered Mary, taking a step forward. "It could be dangerous." Completely ignoring Mary's whispered warning, Luna continued her cautious approach towards Max. The golden retriever remained with his eyes fixed on the small cat, his expression a mixture of curiosity and something that seemed almost hope. "We should take her out of there," murmured Isabel, but Lucy made a silent gesture for everyone to stay where they were. Something different was happening, something she couldn't explain but could feel. Luna stopped a few inches from Max, her tail swaying gently in the air. With surprising gentleness, she extended one of her paws and lightly touched the dog's nose. The gesture, so simple and yet so significant, made everyone hold their breath. Max, to the complete astonishment of the team, didn't recoil. On the contrary, his nostrils moved slightly, sniffing the small visitor. It was the first sign of interest he had shown in anything for weeks. "This is extraordinary," whispered Mary, her professional eyes observing every detail of the interaction. "I've never seen anything like this in all my years as a veterinarian." The rain continued to fall outside, but inside Max's enclosure, a small miracle was unfolding. Luna, apparently satisfied with the first approach, began to move around the dog, her movements precise and deliberate, as if she were performing some kind of ritual. Suddenly, she stopped near Max's untouched food bowl. With her paw, she gently pushed the container, causing some kibbles to roll across the floor. The noise caught Max's attention, who for the first time in days slightly moved his head to follow the movement. Peter, who had remained silent until then, couldn't contain his excitement. "Did you see that?" he whispered, already taking out his phone to record the moment. "She's trying to make him interested in the food." Luna continued her patient work, pushing a few more kibbles, creating a small path that approached Max. To further increase everyone's amazement, she herself took one of the kibbles in her mouth and deposited it very close to the dog's nose. "This is impossible," murmured Isabel, her hands covering her mouth in surprise. She's trying to feed him." The golden retriever watched each of the cat's movements with an attention he hadn't shown for weeks. His eyes, once empty and distant, now followed Luna with growing interest. When she deposited another kibble near him, something extraordinary happened. Max slightly extended his muzzle and, for the first time in days, ate voluntarily. Lucy felt tears running down her face, but made no move to wipe them away. Mary had an incredulous smile on her lips, while Isabel firmly held Peter's arm, who continued to discreetly film everything. Luna, apparently satisfied with her first success, sat down close to Max and began to groom herself, as if nothing extraordinary was happening. But everyone there knew they were witnessing something special. The small cat, abandoned in the storm, had managed in a few minutes what weeks of human efforts had not achieved, awakening Max from his deep depression. "I guess we don't need to discuss which area she's going to anymore," said Lucy. Her voice choked with emotion. Luna just chose her place. The team agreed in silence, observing how the cat, finished with her grooming, returned to interact with Max. She approached him again, and to everyone's complete astonishment, began to purr, a soft and comforting sound that seemed to fill the entire environment. The sound of rain began to diminish outside, as if nature itself wanted to give space to that unique moment. Peter continued filming discreetly, documenting every second of that unlikely interaction between a paraplegic golden retriever and a newly arrived cat. Copy retrice continue edit. The next morning, news of the extraordinary interaction between Luna and Max had already spread throughout the shelter. Volunteers arrived earlier, hoping to witness for themselves what many considered impossible to believe. Mary arrived before dawn, eager to assess whether the change in Max's behavior had been just an isolated moment or if it represented something more significant. To her surprise, she found Luna still there, sleeping peacefully next to the golden retriever. "She stayed with him all night," informed Robert, the night watchman, his voice filled with admiration. "And you won't believe it, but he ate all the food we left last night." The veterinarian approached the enclosure cautiously, not wanting to disturb the peaceful scene. Luna opened her eyes as soon as she heard her, but didn't move from her position. Max, for the first time in weeks, was sleeping in a more relaxed position, his body no longer tense and withdrawn as in recent times. Lucy arrived shortly after, carrying a folder with documents and her cell phone. "The video Peter made yesterday, you won't believe it," she said, showing the phone screen to Mary. The recording of the interaction between Luna and Max had been shared in a local animal protection group and within hours had gone viral. "Look at these comments," Lucy continued, scrolling through the screen. "People from all over the country are sharing it. There are even animal behavior specialists wanting to come meet the two." As they talked, Luna got up and began her morning routine, which seemed to have been carefully planned. First, she approached Max's water bowl, drinking a little, and then looking fixedly at him as if inviting him to do the same. To the astonishment of the two women, Max responded to the stimulus. With visible effort, he dragged his body a few inches towards the water. The movement was small, but represented more activity than he had shown in weeks. "This is amazing," whispered Mary, already making notes on her clipboard. "She's creating a system of natural rewards, encouraging him to move." Isabel arrived soon after, bringing breakfast for the animals. Luna immediately approached her, meowing softly. "Good morning to you too, little therapist," smiled the caretaker, placing a bowl of cat food near Max's bowl. What happened next left everyone speechless. Luna took some of her own food and deliberately placed it on the path between Max and his water bowl. It was as if she was creating a trail of rewards, encouraging him to exert a little more effort. Is she doing physical therapy with him?" asked Isabel, incredulous. "In an intuitive way, yes," replied Mary, who couldn't take her eyes off the scene. "It's as if she understands exactly what he needs. Every movement she encourages has a purpose." Lucy, who had remained silent observing, felt a new wave of hope growing in her chest. "We need to document this properly," she said, already reaching for her phone. "If we can document this process, maybe we can get help," completed Mary, immediately understanding the director's thought. "There are research institutes that would be very interested in studying this type of interspecies interaction." As they talked, Luna continued her patient work with Max. She moved around him with feline grace, sometimes gently touching his hind legs with her own, as if encouraging him to feel that part of his body again. "You know what this reminds me of?" commented Isabel, observing the interaction. "Those stories of animals that become natural therapists. I've heard of dolphins helping children with autism, horses assisting in paralysis treatments, but never a cat doing physical therapy with a dog," completed Lucy, a smile forming on her lips. I think we just gained a new employee in the rehabilitation department. The video of the first interaction between Luna and Max, captured by Peter, had become a phenomenon on social media. In just 3 days, the recording already had millions of views and shares on various platforms. Hope Haven Animal Shelter, previously known only locally, was now receiving messages from people all over the world. "Look at this," said Peter, showing his cell phone to Lucy during the morning meeting. "There are people from Australia commenting. And here an animal behavior specialist from England wants to do a video call to meet Luna and Max." Mary leafed through a stack of printed emails, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. 3 universities have already contacted us wanting to study the case. And there's a veterinary clinic specializing in animal rehabilitation offering a free evaluation. The transformation in the shelter was remarkable. What was once a quiet and melancholic place now buzzed with energy. New volunteers appeared daily, inspired by the story of the unlikely friendship between the therapist cat and the paraplegic dog. Luna, oblivious to her recent fame, continued her dedicated work with Max. Her daily routine had become more elaborate and surprising. She created small exercise circuits using toys and objects from the shelter, strategically positioning them to encourage Max to move more and more. "It's incredible how she understands exactly what he needs," commented Isabel, observing Luna arrange some toys in sequence. "Look at this. She places the objects at progressively greater distances, as if she knew he needs to gradually increase the effort." The change in Max was evident to everyone. Although he still couldn't use his hind legs, his interest in life had returned. His eyes, once empty and distant, now shone with a new determination. He struggled to follow the exercises proposed by Luna, dragging himself with his front paws, each day managing to go a little further. "We need to document all of this properly," decided Lucy, after another session of feline physical therapy, as they had nicknamed the interactions between the two. "Peter, you who have experience with videos, can you help us with this?" The young volunteer nodded enthusiastically. "I've already thought about it. We can create a series of videos showing the evolution of the treatment. People love to follow stories like this, and it can help bring more attention to the shelter." Peter's idea proved to be right on target. The daily videos of the duo began to attract not just views but also donations. People moved by Luna's dedication and Max's perseverance began to send financial contributions to the shelter. "Look at this," showed Lucy during a meeting, her eyes misty. A lady from Spain made a considerable donation specifically for Max's treatments. She said she recently lost her own dog and that our story brought hope to her. The impact on social media also began to positively affect the other animals in the shelter. People who came to meet Luna and Max ended up falling in love with the other inhabitants, and the number of adoptions began to increase. "It's as if they were our ambassadors," reflected Isabel, observing a couple who had come to meet the famous duo and ended up falling in love with one of the other dogs in the shelter. "Luna and Max are helping all the other animals even without knowing it." The shelter's routine now included regular visits from journalists and animal behavior specialists, all fascinated by the extraordinary partnership between the cat and the dog. Each new video posted generated a wave of comments and shares, bringing more attention to the cause of special needs animals. Mary began to dedicate part of her time to scientifically documenting Luna's instinctive techniques. "What she does is revolutionary," the veterinarian explained to a news crew. "She naturally developed a rehabilitation method that combines physical exercise with emotional support. It's something we need to study and understand better." At the end of another busy day, with the shelter finally quiet, Lucy observed Luna and Max resting together. The small cat was curled up near the dog's neck, her soft purr echoing in the quiet environment. The scene, so simple and yet so powerful, summarized everything her work at the shelter represented: hope, dedication, and the transformative power of unconditional love. The morning started differently at Hope Haven Animal Shelter. A van equipped with specialized medical devices parked in front of the main gate, bringing a team of animal rehabilitation specialists. Dr. O. Sophie Mendez, a renowned veterinary physiotherapist, had seen the videos of Luna and Max and decided to offer her services free of charge. "What this cat does intuitively is extraordinary," explained Dr. Sophie, while observing Luna guide Max through another exercise session. "She created a rehabilitation method that perfectly combines physical and emotional stimulation. It's something we need to study in depth. The team set up a small improvised laboratory in the shelter's recreation area. High-speed cameras were strategically positioned to capture every movement of the duo, while special sensors monitored Max's muscle activity during the exercises. "Look at this," pointed out one of the researchers, showing the readings on a monitor. When Luna touches his hind legs, there's a neural response. Small, but it's there. It's as if she knew exactly where to stimulate to keep the nerve connections active. Mary followed everything with professional fascination, making detailed notes on her clipboard. It's amazing how she adapts the techniques according to his response. If Max shows fatigue, she immediately changes the approach, giving him time to regain strength. The presence of the specialists brought new energy to the shelter. Lucy watched, moved, as Max seemed more motivated with all the new equipment and attention. Luna, in turn, naturally incorporated the new devices into her physiotherapy routine, using them as obstacles and reference points for the exercises. "We need to develop a protocol based on what she does," suggested Dr. Sophie during a meeting with the team. "The Luna method, as we're calling it, could revolutionize the way we treat animals with similar injuries." Peter continued documenting everything, now with professional equipment borrowed from the research team. His videos, increasingly elaborate, showed in detail Max's daily progress and Luna's innovative techniques. "Look at this," he called everyone's attention, showing a slow-motion recording. "See how she positions her paw exactly on the known acupressure points. It's as if she had an instinctive knowledge of animal physiotherapy." The news of the scientific study on Luna and Max attracted even more attention to the shelter. Specialized science journalists began to appear, interested in covering the development of the Luna method. The small shelter, once struggling to survive, was now transforming into an improvised research center. "We received an email from a university in Switzerland," announced Lucy during lunch. "They want to include Luna and Max's case in an international study on animal intelligence and interspecies empathy." The preliminary findings of Dr. Sophie's team were promising. The data showed that Luna's instinctive techniques were effectively helping in the partial recovery of sensitivity in Max's hind legs. More importantly, her natural rehabilitation method kept the dog emotionally engaged in the process. "It's a perfect, holistic approach," explained Dr. Sophie to a film crew documenting the case. "Luna isn't just working on the physical aspect, she's treating Max as a whole, including his emotional and psychological well-being." At the end of that intense day, as the equipment was being put away and the researchers were preparing to leave, Lucy found Luna and Max resting in the shelter's garden. The small cat was lying next to the golden retriever, occasionally touching his hind legs with soft and precise movements, as if performing an extra therapy session under the evening sky. After weeks of steady progress, Hope Haven Animal Shelter faced a new challenge. Despite worldwide attention and donations received, the costs of specialized treatments for Max had increased significantly. The equipment borrowed from Dr. Sophie's team needed to be returned, and maintaining the rehabilitation program required resources that the shelter still struggled to secure. "We need at least 3 months of intensive treatment to see significant results," explained Dr. Sophie during an emergency meeting. "The problem is that the cost of this type of specialized therapy—" Lucy looked at the spreadsheets on her desk, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Donations had decreased after the initial media interest began to cool. Although the shelter was in a better financial situation than before, the expenses for Max's treatment were substantial. "We can't stop now," insisted Isabel, her voice trembling slightly. "He's progressing so much. Just yesterday he managed to slightly move the toes of his right hind paw." Mary, who was analyzing Max's latest exams, added, "The progress is undeniable. The nerves are responding better and better to stimuli. Luna has awakened something we thought was permanently dormant." As if understanding the gravity of the situation, Luna intensified her efforts in those days. She began to create even more elaborate exercise circuits, using every inch of available space. Her dedication was even more impressive during the night, when she remained by Max's side, gently massaging his hind legs while he slept. "Look at this," called Peter, showing the nighttime recordings from the security cameras. "She practically doesn't sleep. She spends the whole night stimulating his muscles." The situation reached a critical point when one of the main physiotherapy equipment presented problems. The device, essential for monitoring Max's neural activity, needed urgent maintenance. "It's $15,000 just for the repair," sighed Lucy, running her hands through her hair in frustration. "And we can't continue the treatment without it. The data is fundamental to adjust the rehabilitation techniques." That's when Isabel had an idea. What if we organized an event? Something big that could bring the community to personally know Luna and Max's story. The suggestion sparked a glimmer of hope. The team began to plan a benefit festival, something that could unite the community around the cause. Peter immediately started working on a promotional video, using the most touching images he had recorded over the weeks. "We can transform the parking lot into an event area," suggested Mary, already visualizing the space. "We set up tents, bring food, music." News of the festival spread quickly on social media. Local artists offered to perform for free, restaurants in the region promised to donate part of their sales, and volunteers began to appear to help with the organization. While the preparations were taking place, Luna continued her tireless work with Max. It was as if she sensed the urgency of the situation, dedicating even more time to rehabilitation exercises. Her determination was contagious, inspiring everyone at the shelter to work even harder to ensure the success of the event. "She's amazing," commented Dr. Sophie, observing Luna guide Max through another exercise session. "In all my years of practice, I've never seen such dedication. It's as if she perfectly understands the importance of every moment." The golden retriever, in turn, responded to his small therapist's efforts with renewed determination. His progress, although slow, was steady. Each day a new movement, a new sign of recovery, a new hope. At the end of that afternoon, as the sun set on the horizon, Lucy found Luna and Max in the shelter's garden. The cat was sitting close to the dog, her green eyes fixed on his hind legs, as if visualizing the day when he would walk again. The scene was a powerful reminder of why everyone was trying so hard. "We are going to make it," murmured Lucy, more to herself than to anyone else. "For you two, we're going to make it." The day of the festival dawned with an extraordinarily blue sky. The parking lot of Hope Haven Animal Shelter had been transformed into a colorful celebration space, with decorated tents, colorful banners, and soft music playing in the background. Volunteers ran from one side to the other, adjusting the final details before the gates opened. "I can't believe we managed to organize all this in such a short time," said Isabel, admiring the transformation of the space. Food stalls lined up at one end, while a small stage had been set up in the center of the area. Peter coordinated the installation of a large screen where videos documenting Luna and Max's journey would be shown. "I prepared a special presentation," he explained, adjusting the equipment. "I included some unseen footage of the nighttime physiotherapy sessions. Mary and Dr. Sophie had organized a space dedicated to demonstrating rehabilitation techniques. Explanatory panels showed in detail the Luna method, as the treatment had been officially named by the scientific community. People need to understand that it's not just about physiotherapy, explained Dr. Sophie, adjusting the posters. It's about connection, empathy, and the extraordinary ability of animals to help each other. When the gates opened, the community's response exceeded all expectations. Entire families, groups of students, elderly people, and children began to arrive, all eager to personally meet the duo that had won hearts around the world. Luna and Max were installed in a special space, adapted for their comfort and visibility. To everyone's surprise, the small cat seemed to perfectly understand her role in the event. At regular intervals, she performed small demonstrations of her rehabilitation techniques, guiding Max through simple exercises that made the audience hold their breath. "It's even more impressive live," commented an elderly lady, wiping away tears as she watched Luna gently massage Max's hind legs. "You can feel the love between them." The festival gained an especially emotional moment when Peter presented his new video production. The nighttime images of Luna working tirelessly while everyone slept provoked sighs and tears from the audience. The dedication of the small cat, captured in its purest and most natural form, deeply touched everyone present. Local artists performed on the stage, alternating songs with testimonials from people who had been impacted by Luna and Max's story. A group of children from a nearby school prepared a special presentation, singing a song composed especially for the duo. "Look at this," called Mary, pointing to a movement near the donation tent. A considerable line was forming, with people waiting their turn to contribute to Max's treatment. Lucy observed everything with a mixture of gratitude and hope. The event wasn't just about raising funds, it was a celebration of the power of love and dedication. It was a testament to how a small abandoned cat had transformed not just the life of a dog, but of an entire community. As the sun began to set, casting golden hues over the festival, Luna led Max through her last demonstration of the day. The golden retriever, visibly stronger and more confident, managed to drag himself a greater distance than usual, drawing enthusiastic applause from the spectators. "This is not the end," said Lucy to the gathered crowd. "It's just the beginning of a new phase in their journey. And thanks to all of you, we can continue dreaming of the day when Max will run across these fields again." The festival continued into the night, the colorful lights of the tents reflecting in the dark sky like earthly stars. The soft music, laughter, and animated conversations created an atmosphere of hope and unity. At the center of it all, Luna and Max rested together, living symbols of the transformative power of love and perseverance. A week after the festival, when the routine at Hope Haven Animal Shelter was beginning to return to normal, an unexpected visit changed the course of events once again. Dr. Richard Mendoza, director of the renowned Victory Animal Rehabilitation Center, arrived without warning, accompanied by a small team of specialists. "The videos don't do justice to what happens here," he commented, observing Luna guide Max through her morning exercise session. "It's truly extraordinary." Lucy and Mary accompanied the visit with a mixture of pride and curiosity. The Victory Center was internationally known for its pioneering work in animal rehabilitation, and having its director there, personally observing Luna's work, was an unexpected honor. "I came to make a proposal," announced Dr. Richard after hours of meticulous observation. "We want to offer complete treatment for Max at our center, with all costs covered." The news fell like a bomb in the meeting room. Treatment at the Victory Center was known to be extremely effective, but also equally expensive, something the shelter could never dream of paying for on its own. "And there's more," continued the director, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "We want Luna to come too. What she does is revolutionary, and we'd like to study her techniques in a controlled environment with state-of-the-art equipment." Isabel, who was present at the meeting, couldn't contain her concern. But how long would they be away? "The initial treatment would be for 3 months, explained Dr. Richard, with the possibility of extension depending on the progress. "Our center has cutting-edge facilities, a multidisciplinary team, and all the necessary support to maximize Max's chances of recovery." The proposal was tempting, but also scary. Transferring Max and Luna to another place, even temporarily, was not an easy decision. The bond between them was special, unique, and no one knew how they would react to a completely new environment. "We need to think about what's best for them," pondered Mary, her voice laden with emotion. "The Victory Center has resources that we could never offer here." Peter, who had been documenting everything from the beginning, raised an important question. "What if they don't adapt? If the stress of the change hinders the progress we've already achieved?" Dr. Richard understood the concerns. "That's why I came personally," he explained. "I wanted to see with my own eyes the dynamics between them, and I can guarantee that we'll do everything to keep that special connection intact. They would stay together all the time, exactly as they do here." The team spent the rest of the day observing Luna and Max with new eyes, trying to imagine what it would be like to send them away. The small cat continued her dedicated work, completely unaware of the crucial decision being considered. "Look at them," whispered Isabel, indicating how Luna had just created a new exercise circuit using cushions and toys. "It's as if she reinvents her techniques every day, always finding new ways to help him." At the end of that afternoon, as the sun set on the horizon, Lucy found herself alone in the shelter's garden, watching Luna and Max rest after another day of exercises. The small cat was lying close to the dog's neck, her soft purr echoing in the tranquil air. "Perhaps," thought Lucy, "the true act of love is to allow them to have this chance, even if it means letting them go for a while." The decision weighed on her heart, but she knew they needed to seriously consider the proposal. The Victory Center offered a unique opportunity, not just for Max, but also for Luna's extraordinary work to be properly studied and documented, potentially helping other animals in the future. As night fell over the shelter, the team gathered again to discuss the proposal. The decision they would make would not only affect Max and Luna's future, but could impact the lives of countless other animals in need of similar help. The meeting room at Hope Haven Animal Shelter was silent that morning, except for the soft sound of rain hitting the windows. Lucy, Mary, Isabel, and Peter were gathered to make the final decision about the Victory Center's proposal. Dr. Richard had given them a week to think, and the deadline was approaching. "I've spent the last few days researching the center," Mary began, spreading some documents on the table. "Their results are really impressive. They have equipment we didn't even know existed for animal rehabilitation." Isabel nervously flipped through a photo album she had put together, documenting Luna and Max's journey. "But what about the emotional side? They've never been away from the shelter since they met." Peter projected some images of the Victory Center he had found online on the wall. "The facilities are incredible," he commented, going through photos of modernly equipped physiotherapy rooms and spacious recovery areas. And they promised an exclusive space for Luna and Max to stay together. Lucy observed everything in silence, her gaze occasionally turning to the window, where she could see Luna guiding Max through another exercise session, even under the light rain that was falling. "You know what impresses me the most," she said finally. "Luna never gives up. No matter the weather, no matter the fatigue, she's always there, trying new approaches, finding new ways to help Max." The observation touched something deep in everyone present. It was true. Luna's dedication was tireless, and perhaps it was this same spirit that should guide their decision. "Dr. Richard also mentioned something important," Mary continued. "Luna's work could be scientifically studied there, with all the necessary resources. Imagine how many other animals could be helped if we could fully understand how she does what she does." Peter then showed a video he had recorded the night before. In it, Luna performed a series of precise movements on Max's hind legs, something she had never done before. "She's evolving," he explained. "Every day she learns something new, adapts her techniques. Imagine what she could do with proper equipment and specialized supervision." Isabel wiped away a discreet tear. "But what if they miss this place? The shelter, the routine, us?" "We can visit them," suggested Lucy. "The center isn't that far." And they would be together, which is the most important thing. The discussion continued for hours, each aspect being carefully considered. Max and Luna's future weighed on everyone's conscience. It wasn't just about accepting or rejecting a generous offer. It was about giving them the best possible chance of success. "Maybe," Mary said softly, "we should observe them one last time before deciding." The group headed to the garden, where Luna and Max continued their exercises, oblivious to the important decision being made. The small cat had created a new circuit using the rain to her advantage, encouraging Max to move through small puddles of water that stimulated different muscles. "Look at that," whispered Peter, already with his camera in hand. "She's using the natural resistance of the water as part of the therapy. It's genius." It was that moment that crystallized the decision for everyone. Luna's dedication to helping Max knew no bounds, was not intimidated by obstacles. She deserved to have access to the best possible resources to continue her extraordinary work. "I think we already know what we need to do," said Lucy, her voice firm despite the emotion. "I'll call Dr. Richard today." The decision was made. Luna and Max would go to the Victory Center, where they would have access to cutting-edge treatments and could contribute to the advancement of science in animal rehabilitation. It wouldn't be easy to see them leave, even temporarily, but it was the right decision. "Now we need to prepare everything for the transfer," said Mary, already thinking about the next steps. "We want them to have the smoothest transition possible." As the group discussed the practical details of the move, Luna led Max back to the shelter, the rain gradually diminishing. The bond between them, stronger than ever, would be their anchor during the changes that were to come. The day of the transfer to Victory Center dawned with a mix of emotions at Hope Haven Animal Shelter. A specially equipped van was parked at the entrance, while Dr. Richard's team made the final preparations to transport Luna and Max with all the necessary comfort and safety. "We've prepared a special space for them in the van," explained Anna, the veterinarian responsible for the transport. "They can stay together throughout the journey, exactly as they're accustomed to." Lucy watched the preparations with a lump in her throat, while Isabel organized a small bag with the duo's favorite objects: Luna's preferred cushion, the toys she used in physiotherapy sessions, and the blanket that Max adored. "Don't forget this," said Peter, handing a small object to Isabel. It was a new camera, compact and durable. Dr. Richard agreed to keep it installed in their space. This way we can monitor how they're adapting. Mary personally supervised the loading of all the medical equipment that would be necessary during the trip. Every detail had been meticulously planned to ensure maximum possible comfort during the journey. "Luna seems to understand what's happening," commented one of the center's assistants, observing how the cat carefully inspected every inch of the space prepared for them in the van, as if she were assessing whether it was suitable for Max. Indeed, Luna's behavior in the last few hours was remarkable. She had intensified her physiotherapy sessions with Max, as if she wanted to ensure he was as strong as possible for the journey. During the previous night, the security camera captured her performing an especially long series of exercises, working tirelessly with the dog's hind legs. "Time to go," Dr. Richard announced softly, after verifying that everything was ready. The moment of farewell was especially emotional. Each member of the shelter team had their moment to say goodbye to the duo. Isabel couldn't hold back tears when Luna approached her, affectionately rubbing against her legs before returning to Max's side. "You're going to rock it there," whispered Peter, recording the duo's last moments at the shelter. "Show everyone what we already know, that there are no limits to love and dedication." Lucy approached last, kneeling beside Max. The golden retriever, who was already comfortably positioned in the van, looked at her with his gentle eyes, as if wanting to say everything would be all right. Luna, always attentive, positioned herself between them, alternating her gaze between the shelter director and her special patient. "Take care of each other," said Lucy, her voice choked with emotion. "We'll be waiting for you." The van doors closed softly, and the vehicle began to move slowly along the shelter's dirt path. Through the specially adapted windows, they could see Luna already organizing the space around Max, adjusting the cushion under his head with that characteristic care that made her so special. "They'll be fine," assured Dr. Richard, noticing the concern on the team's faces. "We have a dedicated team waiting for them at the center, and you'll be able to follow everything through the cameras and in real time during the treatment sessions." As the van disappeared down the road, taking Luna and Max to their new adventure, the shelter seemed strangely silent. The other animals seemed to sense that something important was happening, and even the noisiest ones were quiet. 3 months, said Mary, placing her hands on Isabel and Lucy's shoulders. 3 months, that can change everything. Peter was already at his computer, setting up access to the cameras that would allow them to follow the journey. "Look at this," he called, showing the screen to everyone. "Luna has already started a massage session on Max. It's as if she wanted to ensure he stays relaxed during the trip." The image on the screen was a perfect testament to the extraordinary bond between them. Luna, methodically working to keep Max comfortable, and the golden retriever, completely trusting his small caregiver. The shelter had 3 months of waiting ahead, 3 months of hope, 3 months of longing. But everyone knew that every minute would be worth it, if it meant giving Max the chance to walk again, and Luna the opportunity to have her extraordinary gift studied and shared with the world. The arrival at Victory Center was marked by a warm reception. A complete team waited at the entrance, eager to personally meet the duo that had won hearts around the world. The space reserved for Luna and Max exceeded all expectations. A spacious suite, equipped with the most modern rehabilitation and monitoring devices. "We prepared everything according to the specifications we observed in the videos," explained Dr. Caroline, the animal physiotherapy specialist who would be responsible for supervising the treatment. "We want them to feel as comfortable as possible." Luna, as always, immediately took control of the situation. After a brief inspection of the new environment, she began to reorganize some equipment, pushing therapeutic cushions and creating her own exercise circuits with the new available resources. "It's incredible," commented Dr. Richard, observing through the special glass that allowed monitoring the environment without interfering. "She's already adapting our conventional techniques to her own method." The first hours were dedicated to letting the duo become familiar with the new space. High-definition cameras recorded every movement, every interaction, providing precious material for the scientific team that would study the Luna method in detail. "Look at this," called one of the researchers, pointing to a monitor showing real-time data. Max's stress levels are surprisingly low for an animal in a new environment. It's as if her presence were a natural anxiolytic. At Hope Haven Animal Shelter, the team followed everything through the installed cameras. Peter had organized a transmission system that allowed everyone to see how Luna and Max were adapting. "Look at her," smiled Isabel, watching Luna guide Max through his first exercise circuit in the new space. She's already figured out how to use that hydrotherapy equipment to her advantage. Indeed, the small cat had developed an interesting technique. She used the warm water from the therapeutic pool to relax Max's muscles before starting more intense exercises. The center's team watched in amazement as she managed to convince the golden retriever to enter the water without showing fear. "It's as if she were a natural physiotherapist," commented Dr. Caroline during a video conference with Lucy and Mary. "She instinctively understands concepts that normally take us years to learn and perfect." The days went by, and the routine at the center began to establish itself. Every morning, Luna led Max through an increasingly elaborate series of exercises, naturally incorporating specialized equipment into her techniques. In the afternoon, she patiently participated in study sessions, allowing researchers to document her methods. "The most fascinating thing," explained one of the scientists during a preliminary presentation, "is how she adapts the techniques according to Max's responses. It's a form of interspecies communication that has never been documented at this level of complexity." At the shelter, the absence of the duo was felt, but daily news of their progress helped alleviate the longing. Lucy kept a detailed diary of each advance, each small victory, each special moment captured by the cameras. "You know what's most beautiful?" commented Peter, showing the nighttime recordings. "She never stops trying. Even when everyone is sleeping, Luna continues working, as if every second were too precious to be wasted." And so, day by day, the Luna method began to be unraveled and documented, promising to revolutionize the way animal rehabilitation was conducted. The small cat abandoned on a stormy night was, without knowing it, changing the future of veterinary medicine. Victory Center was buzzing with activity that special morning. After 6 weeks of intensive observation and meticulous documentation, the research team was ready to present their preliminary findings on the Luna method. "It's revolutionary," Dr. Caroline explained during a video conference with experts from various parts of the world. "Luna has naturally developed a rehabilitation system that combines elements that normally require years of study to understand." The high-precision cameras had captured fascinating details about the small cat's techniques. Her movements, seemingly simple, proved to be extraordinarily complex when analyzed frame by frame. "Observe this," Dr. Richard pointed out, showing a slow-motion sequence. "The pressure she applies with her paws is precisely calibrated to stimulate specific acupressure points. It's as if she had an internal map of the body's energy points." At Hope Haven Animal Shelter, the team followed the presentations with pride and admiration. Peter had created a special file with all the most significant moments of the treatment, documenting each small progress Max made. "Look at this sequence," he showed excitedly to Lucy and Isabel. "Max managed to move the toes of his right hind paw on his own. It's the first time this has happened since the accident." The advances were not limited to just physical aspects. The center's team noticed significant changes in Max's behavior. The golden retriever, who previously showed clear signs of depression, now exhibited a more positive and engaged attitude. "It's as if Luna had developed a form of holistic therapy," observed one of the researchers. "She doesn't just treat the body, but also takes care of his emotional state." The nights at the center revealed even more surprising aspects of the treatment. The night cameras captured Luna performing special exercise sessions while Max slept, taking advantage of the natural relaxation state of sleep to work with the most affected muscles. "She discovered by instinct something that modern veterinary medicine is just beginning to explore," explained Dr. Richard: "the importance of muscle work during sleep for neurological recovery." Luna's dedication did not go unnoticed by the scientific community. Specialized magazines began to request articles about the case, and universities showed interest in including the study in their veterinary medicine programs. "The most impressive thing," commented Dr. Caroline during a team meeting, "is how she constantly adapts her techniques. Each day brings a new discovery, a new approach we had never considered." On a particularly emotional afternoon, Max managed to take his first assisted steps in the hydrotherapy pool. Luna, as always, was by his side, guiding him with a mixture of determination and gentleness that had become her trademark. "See how she encourages him," pointed out one of the physiotherapists. "She knows exactly when to push for more effort and when to allow rest." At the shelter, news of Max's progress was received with joy and hope. Lucy spent hours watching the recordings, marveling at the evolution of the treatment. "It's incredible to think," she reflected, "that all this knowledge was there waiting to be discovered through the eyes of a small abandoned cat." The scientific community was beginning to recognize that the Luna method was not just a curiosity, but a true revolution in the approach to animal rehabilitation. Her instinctive techniques were opening new paths for treating cases considered hopeless. "She has taught us," Dr. Richard concluded in his preliminary report, "that sometimes the deepest answers come from the most unexpected places." A street cat developed, through pure instinct and compassion, methods that our science would take decades to discover. The 8th week of treatment at Victory Center began with an atmosphere of expectation in the air. Max's progress had intensified in the last 2 weeks, and each day brought new surprises for the research team. "The nerve regeneration is exceeding all our expectations," explained Dr. Caroline, showing the latest exams to the team. "Luna's constant stimuli are creating new neural connections that we didn't believe were possible." Luna, oblivious to the scientific excitement her work generated, maintained her dedicated routine with Max. Her therapy sessions had evolved to include increasingly complex exercises, always adapted to the growing capabilities of the golden retriever. "Observe how she adjusts the intensity," pointed out one of the researchers, showing a recent recording. "She can perceive the slightest sign of fatigue or discomfort and immediately modifies the approach." At the shelter, the team was preparing for their first official visit to the center. Lucy, Mary, and Isabel had been invited for a special presentation of the progress, and the anticipation was palpable. "I can't wait to see them in person," commented Isabel, organizing some gifts she had prepared for the duo. "The cameras are great, but it's not the same thing." Peter, who couldn't go due to university commitments, had prepared a special compilation of the most remarkable moments of the last few weeks. "Look at this sequence," he showed proudly. "It's the evolution of Max's movements in chronological order. The difference is impressive." Indeed, the images didn't lie. The golden retriever, who had arrived at the center practically immobile from the waist down, could now perform voluntary movements with both hind legs. He still couldn't support himself alone, but the progress was undeniable. "The most fascinating thing," explained Dr. Richard in his weekly report, "is how Luna seems to intuitively understand the process of neuroplasticity. She creates stimuli that force Max's brain to develop new neural pathways." The nighttime sessions continued to be one of the most intriguing aspects of the treatment. Luna had developed a series of specific exercises to perform while Max slept, taking advantage of the state of deep relaxation to work with the most resistant muscles. "It's like a dance," commented one of the nurses who accompanied the night shift. "She moves with such precision, such delicacy. It's almost hypnotic to watch." News of the extraordinary progress began to attract international attention. Television crews requested permission to document the case, and scientists from various countries showed interest in studying the Luna method in more detail. "We have to be careful," warned Dr. Caroline. "We don't want all this attention to interfere with the treatment. Luna and Max need to maintain their routine without distractions." On the day before the shelter team's visit, something extraordinary happened. During a hydrotherapy session, Max managed to take 3 steps completely on his own in the water. Luna, who was watching attentively from the edge of the pool, immediately jumped onto the floating platform to reward him with a special caress. "It was a magical moment," described one of the physiotherapists present. "The expression of joy on his face, the pride in her eyes. It's moments like these that make us believe in miracles." The news spread quickly through the center, reaching the shelter through the live transmission cameras. Lucy couldn't hold back tears as she watched the recording of the historic moment. "They did it," she whispered, moved. "They really did it." The small victory was more than just physical progress. It was confirmation that the extraordinary partnership between Luna and Max was truly changing the impossible into possible, one step at a time. The arrival of the Hope Haven Animal Shelter team at Victory Center was marked by strong emotion. Lucy, Mary, and Isabel could barely contain their anxiety as they were guided through the center's immaculate corridors towards the special area where Luna and Max were housed. "They're going to love the surprise," commented Dr. Caroline, who was accompanying them. "Luna has a sixth sense for visits. I'm sure she already knows you're here." As they approached the special glass door that separated the corridor from the rehabilitation suite, they all stopped, moved by the scene they encountered. Luna was in the middle of a physiotherapy session with Max, guiding him through a new exercise circuit she had created using the specialized equipment. "She's learned to use every device in the center," explained Dr. Richard, who had joined the group. "It's impressive how she adapts professional techniques to her own method." When the door opened softly, Luna was the first to react. Her ears moved in the direction of the sound, and upon recognizing the visitors, she let out a soft meow that seemed like a greeting. Max, who was concentrating on a balance exercise, raised his head and his eyes immediately lit up. "Hello, my dears," whispered Isabel, unable to hold back tears as she slowly approached. Luna came to greet them, affectionately rubbing against their legs before quickly returning to Max's side, as if wanting to ensure he was safe and comfortable. "It's incredible how she never abandons her post," observed Mary, noticing how the cat kept one eye on the visitors and another on her patient. "Even with our presence, she remains focused on the work." Lucy approached Max, kneeling beside him. The golden retriever was visibly stronger, his coat shiny and his eyes full of life, a remarkable transformation compared to the state in which he had left the shelter. "Want to see something special?" asked Dr. Caroline, heading towards the hydrotherapy pool. "Luna usually does a session at this time, and I think you'll want to witness this." The center's team prepared Max for hydrotherapy, gently placing him in the warm water. Luna, as always, assumed her position on the floating platform from where she could supervise and guide the dog's movements. "Observe how she directs him," pointed Dr. Richard. "Each of her movements has a purpose. Each position is calculated to obtain maximum benefit." What happened next left everyone breathless. With Luna guiding the way, Max began to move in the water, his hind legs responding to commands with a coordination that seemed impossible a few weeks ago. One step, then another and another, still hesitant movements, but undeniably voluntary. "I can't believe it," whispered Isabel, squeezing Lucy's hand. "He's walking." "In the water, the body weight is reduced," explained Dr. Caroline, although her voice also trembled with emotion. "This allows him to exercise the muscles without overload. Luna discovered this on her own, and now uses the pool as a fundamental part of the treatment." The session continued for a few more minutes, with Luna orchestrating each movement with impressive precision. When they finished, Max was carefully removed from the water, and the small cat immediately began her post-exercise massage routine. "She's developed a whole protocol," commented one of the physiotherapists. "She knows exactly which muscles need attention after each type of exercise." The visit extended throughout the afternoon, with the shelter team absorbing every detail of the progress achieved. Luna made sure to demonstrate each new achievement, like a proud teacher presenting her most dedicated students' work. "You know what's most beautiful?" reflected Lucy, watching the duo rest after the intense exercise session. "They seem even more united than before. Each progress, each small victory, has strengthened this special bond even more." At the end of the day, when it was time to leave, it was difficult to contain the emotion. Luna accompanied the visitors to the door, and for the first time since arriving at the center, she left her post beside Max for a few minutes for a special farewell. "Keep it up, little warriors," whispered Isabel, as Luna rubbed against her legs one last time, before hurriedly returning to her patient. In the weeks following the shelter team's visit, Max's progress accelerated in a surprising manner. It was as if the reunion with his former caretakers had injected a new dose of energy and determination into both him and Luna. "It's fascinating to observe how the emotional aspect directly impacts physical recovery," commented Dr. Caroline during a meeting with her team. After the visit, Max's neural regeneration indicators showed significant improvement. Luna, always attentive to her patient's needs, had adapted her exercise routine to keep up with this new momentum. Her nighttime sessions, captured by infrared cameras, revealed increasingly sophisticated techniques. "Look at this," pointed out one of the researchers, showing a recent recording. She's developed a form of cross-stimulation, alternating between the right and left paws to strengthen neural connections on both sides. At the shelter, Peter continued his documentation work, now with a special focus on the scientific discoveries the case was generating. Each day brings something new, he explained during a video conference with universities interested in the study. The Luna method is revolutionizing our understanding of animal rehabilitation. Hydrotherapy sessions had become the highlight of the treatment. Max could now stand in the water for increasingly longer periods, and his movements were gaining coordination day by day. Luna, from her floating platform, continued to be the conductor of this recovery orchestra. It's as if she perfectly understands the concept of exercise progression, observed Dr. Richard. She gradually increases the difficulty, always respecting his limits, but never failing to challenge him. A particularly interesting discovery occurred when the team noticed that Luna had begun to incorporate sonic elements into her therapy. She used different tones of meows to signal different exercises, creating a kind of unique language with Max. It's a complex communication system, explained one of the researchers specializing in animal behavior. She's developed a unique code that Max perfectly understands. Each sound has a specific meaning related to the exercise that should be performed. The impact of these discoveries began to extend beyond Max's specific case. Other animal rehabilitation centers started implementing elements of the Luna method in their treatment protocols, always with promising results. What we're witnessing, reported Dr. Richard in an international online conference, is a complete reformulation of what we thought we knew about animal rehabilitation. A small cat is teaching us that the limits we establish may exist only in our minds. At Victory Center, each day brought new surprises. Luna continued to innovate in her techniques as if she had infinite knowledge to share. Her tireless dedication and ability to adapt left the specialists amazed. She never stops learning and teaching, reflected Dr. Caroline, observing another nighttime session through the monitors. Every time we think we've seen everything, she surprises us with something new. The story of Luna and Max was beginning to be included in veterinary medicine curricula, serving as an example of the power of dedication and unconditional love. The case was changing not only their lives, but the way science viewed animal rehabilitation. The most important thing, Dr. Richard concluded in his weekly report, is that we're only beginning to scratch the surface of what's possible when we allow instinct and science to work together. Victory Center was in a flurry of activity that special morning. After 12 weeks of intensive treatment, the moment everyone had been waiting for had arrived. Max's first attempt to walk outside the water on firm ground. The entire team from Hope Haven Animal Shelter had been invited to witness the historic moment. The latest exams are extremely promising, Dr. Caroline explained to the gathered group. The neural regeneration has surpassed all our expectations, and the muscles in his hind legs have regained much of their strength. Luna, as always, was in command of the situation. Since early morning, she had initiated a special series of preparatory exercises with Max, as if she knew the importance of what was to come. Her dedication in the past few nights had been even more intense, with therapy sessions that extended until dawn. She barely slept this week, commented one of the night shift nurses. It's as if she were on a personal mission to ensure everything goes right today. The space had been specially prepared for the moment. A padded corridor was set up with lateral supports that could be used if necessary. High-definition cameras were positioned at various angles to document every second of the historic event. "We're ready," announced Dr. Richard, after checking all the safety equipment. "We'll start when Luna gives the signal." The small cat was already in position, next to Max, her green eyes focused with an almost palpable intensity. The golden retriever, equipped with a special support that could be activated if needed, seemed nervous but determined. Lucy, Mary, and Isabel observed from a distance, along with Peter, who was recording everything with his camera. The young man had insisted on being present in person this time, knowing it would be a unique moment. Luna initiated her characteristic sequence of movements, positioning herself a few steps ahead of Max. With a soft meow, the one that everyone had learned to recognize as her "let's begin" signal, she looked directly into her patient's eyes. The silence in the environment was total. Only the soft sound of monitoring equipment could be heard. Max, responding to Luna's call, began to move. First his front paws, already firm and strong. Then, the crucial moment, his hind legs began to move. "My God," whispered Isabel, squeezing Lucy's hand. "He's doing it!" A hesitant step, then another. Luna moved slowly in front of him, always maintaining eye contact, as if transmitting strength through her gaze. Each movement was a small victory. Each inch conquered a proof of the power of perseverance. "The sensors show coordinated muscle activity," narrated Dr. Caroline, her voice choked with emotion. "He's really controlling the movements." Max continued advancing, his steps gaining more confidence with each moment. Luna orchestrated every movement with millimetric precision, sometimes stopping to allow him to rest, other times encouraging him to continue with gentle touches of her paw. "Incredible," murmured Dr. Richard, observing the monitors. "The synchronization between them is perfect. It's as if they were a single organism." The most emotional moment came when Max, already halfway down the corridor, stopped for an instant. Luna immediately approached, gently rubbing against his legs as she used to do during therapy sessions. It was the encouragement he needed. With renewed impetus, the golden retriever resumed his walk. Tears flowed freely down the faces of all present when Max completed the course. Luna, in a gesture that seemed of pure joy, jumped onto his back, something she had never done before, as if wanting to hug him and congratulate him on his achievement. "They did it," said Lucy, her voice barely able to come out. "They really did it." The final scene of that historic morning would be forever etched in everyone's memory. Max, standing on his own, with Luna by his side, both looking ahead, as if already planning their next conquest. It was more than a medical victory. It was a testament to the power of love, dedication, and the unbreakable strength of spirit. The return to Hope Haven Animal Shelter was marked by a celebration that brought together the entire community. Colorful banners decorated the entrance, and a crowd eagerly awaited the arrival of the van, bringing Luna and Max back home. After 3 months of intensive treatment at Victory Center, they were returning as living symbols of hope and perseverance. "Their progress exceeded all our expectations," Dr. Richard explained to the reporters present. "What we witnessed was not just a physical recovery, but a revolution in how we understand animal rehabilitation." Luna and Max were received with emotional applause when they descended from the van. The golden retriever, who once could barely move, now walked with firm, albeit still cautious steps. By his side, as always, was Luna, attentive to his every movement. "It's hard to believe this is the same duo that left here 3 months ago," commented Isabel, observing how Max moved with growing confidence through the familiar space of the shelter. The Luna method had become a phenomenon in the veterinary community. Rehabilitation centers around the world were beginning to implement techniques inspired by the small cat's instinctive work, and the results were promising. "Their legacy goes far beyond this story," Mary explained to a group of veterinary students visiting the shelter. "They've taught us that the limits we establish often exist only in our minds." The adaptation back to the shelter was surprisingly smooth. Luna immediately resumed her therapy sessions with Max, now utilizing the familiar spaces in new and creative ways. She had brought with her all the knowledge acquired at Victory Center, perfectly adapting it to the shelter's simpler environment. "It's impressive how she continues to innovate," observed Peter, who didn't miss an opportunity to document the sessions. Each day, she discovers a new way to help him strengthen. Luna and Max's story had transformed Hope Haven Animal Shelter. The place, which once struggled to survive, had now become a reference center in animal rehabilitation. Regular donations allowed for proper maintenance of the animals, and volunteers appeared daily, inspired by the story of the unlikely duo. "They've changed not just each other, but all of us," reflected Lucy, watching Luna guide Max through another exercise session in the garden. "They've taught us about perseverance, unconditional love, and the power of never giving up." A week after their return, something special happened. During a quiet afternoon, as the sun began to set, Max managed to do something no one expected. He ran. It wasn't a long or fast run, but for a few magical moments, his hind legs perfectly matched the rhythm of his front ones, and he moved with the joy everyone remembered from before the accident. Luna, as always, was by his side, running along, as if sharing every moment of his victory. The scene, captured by Peter in a video that would soon go viral, was the perfect embodiment of the miracle everyone had witnessed. The future held even more surprises. Victory Center had decided to establish a permanent partnership with the shelter, creating an animal rehabilitation program based on the principles of the Luna method. The small cat would be the inspiration for a new generation of treatments, proving that sometimes the greatest innovations come from the most unexpected places. "You know what's most beautiful?" commented Isabel one afternoon, watching Luna and Max rest together in the garden after another exercise session. They never lost hope, not even in the most difficult moments. And so the story that began on a stormy night, when a small cat was abandoned at the shelter's door, transformed into a testament to the power of love and dedication. Luna and Max were not just an unlikely duo, they were living proof that miracles happen every day, especially when we believe in the impossible.